Good to talk to you.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Since you joined in 2012, tell me about the time you've had in the band.
It's been incredible. I mean, the opportunities between the places that we've been able to travel and the producers that we've been able to work with and some of the bands that we've been able to meet and befriend. It's just, like you said, it's been a pretty wild ride.
You come to Australia a couple of times on the Soundwave Tour. What are your memories of those?
Oh, man. It just always such a good time with friends, and Australian crowds are just some of the best on earth as far as just pure, raw energy. So it's always a good time. And we were actually fortunate enough to come out there for Download a couple years back. That was a lot of fun, too.
Right. Tell me about your path to becoming the lead vocalist in the band. How did that come about? It seems to be an interesting turn of events when you just sort of read about it. Tell us about it from your side.
When he told us that he had to leave the band, we were all we knew that we were going to continue. We didn't really know in what capacity, and we knew that we weren't going to try and force anything. So we kind of just got together shortly thereafter, and then just started jamming. And once we were jamming, that kind of leads to, let's play some of the old songs. And then, fire up the PA. And I started doing just vocals, just doing all the vocals over the old songs. And we played probably 6 or 7 songs. And we were just like, hey, okay, this seemed like the most organic solution rather than introducing any sort of new elements to the band. We kind of just refine what the band was doing leading up to that point. And then we started working on Defy maybe a month or two after that.
It's always fascinated me with vocalists doing, if you like, the two different styles, how their voice holds up. What experience have you had in that? Has your voice always managed to hold up? Have you ever had to take a break?
No, I mean, never. The only times I've ever had a blowout in my voice was because of being ill and trying to perform. Just knowing better and knowing that maybe I should probably tell my tour manager, hey, maybe let's reschedule this one versus, just wanting to give it your all for the fans that show up and wait in line. So it's usually just from overexerting when I'm sick. No, but I mean, with proper technique, it's two sort of different mechanical approaches to the way you use your voice box. So it's kind of, if you do it properly, you don't injure yourself or hurt yourself.
Right. Tell us about how all the bullshit going on in the world right now has affected recording and releases. You've got a 3-track EP coming out, which is excellent, by the way. Tell us about how that was affected by all of this bullshit. Did you manage to get together? Did you have to do it separately? Was it done beforehand and the release has been delayed? Tell us about.
Yeah, I haven't even seen my bandmates in about a year. In person, but I mean, we've been working over Zoom, and because we all kind of live apart from each other anyway, that was, I think, going to be the main method that we were going to write. And I think this just kind of forced us into jumping in both feet. Yeah. But I think this time has allowed us more time to focus on the purely creative side of being a band and making music, and rather than the live touring and live entertainment business side of being in a band, And I think that as far as the art is concerned and the musical conversation, I've always said when a band releases new songs, that's the beginning of a conversation. And it's I think not having the method of communication in the form of live shows and touring and just how that is communicative in and of itself, I think it's kind of forced us to go back to finding the original reason why we all wanted to play music in the first place was because, at least for me personally, I always just wanted to write songs. So, being put in a position where it's like, okay, this is all you have to do right now. If you choose to do it, because it's not even you have to. It's like you can utilize this time that you can't spend doing something, and you can spend it doing something you can do. So just working on new music.
So this release, rather than like a full-length album, and I believe there's 2 more EPs to follow this year. Why that approach?
For us, that sort of that approach minimizes the length of time between us finishing material and you being able to hear it. And, you know, I think the time it takes to create and then eventually curate an album's worth of material, it takes a lot longer and creates a lot more lag time in that conversation than creating a few songs that are a snapshot in time and releasing those. And you can kind of do that on a more timely manner. You're almost releasing smaller snapshots in time, smaller collections, and it just makes for the ability to release new music all year.
Tell me about the songs on here. We've got Timeless, Obsolete, and Anchor. Any stories behind them you want to share with us?
You know, a lot of the songs deal with the concepts of obsolescence and impermanence and the changing of seasons. And I think how, you know, as, you know, for all of us, we're all in our early 30s now. And I think that you kind of become more keenly aware as you live more life of the impermanence of things. And so I think that you know, we had written these songs at the beginning of the pandemic, you know, starting in March, April, May. And so it was kind of before all of the lockdowns and before we knew 100% that things were going to change radically. So it relates, I think, in a way to the pandemic situation, but a lot of this was written as in the precursors to that, you know.
What's the funniest thing? I'm going to dig back into your brain here. What's the funniest thing back when you were touring, the funniest thing that's happened on tour?
There was one time when we were on tour with Linkin Park where we were playing a song where it starts off with just me singing a really kind of high falsetto, spooky, eerie melody, and Alan, our guitar player, is playing a very clean guitar with synced delay. And it's one of the first days of the Linkin Park tour, and so while we're actually playing that song live, he looks over and he sees Mike Shinoda's standing side stage watching him, and he botches the chord, and it's just the two of us, and I just kind of look over at him, and he just looks over, and I can just see that is mouthing expletives out loud to himself.
Excellent. Right, so what is, back to the EP, what's happening now? We've got this coming out very soon. Have you started working on the next one, or was this a contained project, get this one out, and then we'll worry about what comes next?
No, so we're currently working on the third one.
Right.
And that's like kind of in towards its end stages. I think, yeah, you know, we're just kind of consistently working on music, and however we can figure out the timetable to put it out is kind of more flexible. So we're definitely sitting on stock and waiting to release it rather than, you know, releasing something and being like, all right, come on, boys, cook up the next one. Hurry, you know. So we're definitely, you know, and that's kind of the cool thing, too, is working in smaller formats. You get to you can change your approach, you know. You can release 3 songs and then say, hey, how about this? After this, why don't we release EP2 this way? You know, and that's already come up in the conversation. So, you know, after making 6 albums, it's kind of just a fun and sort of rejuvenatingly exciting thing to inject into the process.
Now, you mentioned the band is like living apart. Where are you located?
I'm in Huntington Beach, California.
Right. And the rest of the guys?
They're all in Southern California. I mean, we are all within, you know, a couple hours of each other. Not terribly far, but also not terribly close.
But you haven't seen them in a year?
Because of the pandemic and because of life circumstances and other things, you know.
I don't know about you, but I'm going stir crazy with no gigs. It must be even worse for musos.
Yeah, it is when I let my brain go there. Otherwise, I just try and really stay focused in the songwriting realm, because otherwise I really do tremendously miss it. And yeah, so like anytime I start to miss it, you know, or I'll go back and watch some old live videos and be like, damn, all right, well, what can I be doing right now? Well, I can write some more music so that eventually when we can play, we'll have some new stuff to play.
Careful, you're getting older, you'll start reflecting too much and thinking about what you should have done different. Trust me on that one. Hey, Aaron, what else should we talk about?
Just we're excited to be on a new home with Sharp Tone Records. You know, we love our old label Rise. They're great. You know, it's just been exciting to work with a new label in sort of, you know, trying the testing the waters of the new format, you know, just releasing EPs and whatnot. And Sharp Tone's been an awesome creative partner. Yeah, you know, just follow the socials for the latest up-to-date news. And yeah, we miss everybody down there. It's been too long. It's very seldom that we don't go to Australia, you know, on an album cycle. So, you know, but we'll be back.
Let's hope so. Aaron, I think we've pretty much covered everything, man.
Well, thank you so much for the time. Thanks for covering us and for covering the band. And honestly, we just can't wait to come back. And once we have some more new music to drop and more stuff to talk about, I'll be back on the show to talk about it.
Rock and roll. Hey, Aaron, thanks for your time. Good luck with all the new music.
Thank you so much, and stay safe. And we'll see you soon.